Good evening, everybody. Hope you all are doing wonderful this evening. Thank you so much for joining us for this session on Finding the Right Fit, a guide to your college search. I am going to be running the session. My name is Maddie Cano. I'm the Assistant Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Access. My colleague, Mark Gensler, who's an admissions counselor, is going to be monitoring. So what we're going to do is kind of talk a little bit about what your college search will look like. So we're going to kick it off with senior timeline. And there's really no right or wrong answer for this, but I just kind of want people to be able to keep pace as you're going into your senior year and be organized. Then we'll talk a little bit about the guide to your college search. So we'll review some different navigation tools, how to make a priority list, how to rank schools, what to be looking for, pros and cons. And then we'll run over just some general Simpson information. So if you have never visited our campus before, or if you've never sat in on one of these virtual sessions, we're going to talk a little bit about the Simpson profile, and then we will open it up for a live Q&A. So we will go ahead and get started with the senior year timeline. So just a quick snapshot. Obviously, most folks really start kind of looking at college as their junior year and really just get a feel for what's out there. So at this point in time, you're probably starting to think about, what are you interested in? What's important to you? Maybe location, where you would want to go. So right now, your second semester of your junior year is typically when you start thinking about some of those things. And your senior year is the big year, right, where you're getting things organized, getting ready to go. So most students, traditionally senior year, the fall, they spend a lot of time applying to the colleges on their priority list, visiting campuses or doing some sort of virtual tour, and completing the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA. In the wintertime, you're maybe narrowing down those top 3 to 5 schools. So maybe you had a dozen on your list, and now after doing some visits, you've narrowed it down to about 3 or 5. You're checking out the websites for their financial aid opportunities and applying for scholarships. And you probably might begin researching private scholarships. So outside of some of the schools you're applying for, there are plenty of nonprofit organizations, private corporations, local scholarships and things that you could be applying for that would be considered private funding, which you can apply to any financial aid award. Those typically start rolling out in the winter. And then in the spring is when we would encourage you to start creating your file of your personal essays. So this is oftentimes when schools are finalizing their financial aid awards, when you would be potentially applying for some of those private scholarships, and really when you start committing to college. We see a range of people starting to deposit, which means they're committing officially to a college beginning anywhere from October for early folks, all the way through the spring and summer. I would say a majority start doing their deposits in January, February, and March. So we're definitely starting to see a lot of those roll in. Again, there's no right or wrong way to go about this. This is just sort of what we see traditionally. And if you're looking to sort of get organized over the summer, I highly recommend this timeline for you. So we're going to jump in a little bit into the beginning part of your college search, which is figuring out what is important to you. So if you're just getting things started, you probably are receiving a whole bunch of emails. You're receiving a lot of snail mail, things in the mail from schools you didn't even know existed. And maybe you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. That is absolutely normal. That is exactly how I felt when I was going through my process. I was a first generation college student. And so all of this was new to my family. And so we were getting things in the mail, and I just was thinking, oh my God, I didn't even know that there were this many universities and colleges out there. So you're going to be getting a lot of mail, if not already. So what you want to do is really think about what is a priority for you, what's important for you. So here's some important questions I think you should think about. What do you want to get out of your college experience? So what are some of the things? Why are you going to college? Some people know right away, the field that they want to study, the majors and the minors, the academic areas that they want to go into. Some people are not quite sure yet, and that's totally okay. Other people are thinking maybe more along athletics. You want to continue playing a sport, maybe performing arts and theater or music is really big for you. So you want to go to a school that allows you to continue that. Other people might be really interested in the aspect of location and research. So thinking about some of those types of things. And these are what we would consider deciding factors. So on the right side of the screen, you're going to see just a couple of examples of things you might want to think about. And I've listed all of those things there. Again, none of these are right or wrong. You just things you definitely want to think about when you're starting to look at schools. And then you're going to think about what are your non-negotiables. When I say a non-negotiable, I mean, this is something that you absolutely cannot live without. So, for example, for me, one of my non-negotiables was not going too far away, but also I did not want to be close. I'm originally from Illinois, and I knew that I did not want to be, there are a couple universities that were very close to my hometown that were very popular, amongst people in my high school. I just knew I did not want to go there. I did not want to continue on to be in that community with the same people. I really wanted to expand. However, I was very close with my family, so I didn't want to go super far. I ended up going to a school that was about 4 hours away, which was perfect for me. So just start to think about some of those things that are your non-negotiables, whether it's academic programming, again, location, some of those deciding factors. From this list on the right, you probably want to identify what are your top 3 to 5 deciding factors. So, you don't want to be too nitpicky, but you definitely want to have your priorities straight. So just, look through the list and think about what are some things that are important to you, and then rank them. What's your most important to what are some things that maybe don't matter as much? And once you've kind of figured out what we call your priority list, you're going to use that priority list to identify colleges and universities. And you can do this in a variety of ways. The easiest way is going to be through college fairs. So I'm sure a lot of your schools offer college fairs, whether they be virtual or in person. I highly recommend, if you are one of those schools that is having virtual fairs, even though the formatting is definitely different, obviously 2020 threw a lot of challenges our way. I highly encourage you to jump on there and really check some of those universities out. More than likely, there are counselors that are going to be there for the virtual fair that are putting in their time and are able to chat with you. So I highly encourage you to be able to look at those. Hopefully in the fall, if there are any in person, I encourage you again to attend those and just browse around and check out some of the options that you have. But for right now, a good way to kick it off would be to take that priority list and use some of the college search engines and tools to be able to narrow down what you're looking for. So these 3 search engines are my personal favorites. They are not the only search engines that are available to you, but I think these are the most user-friendly. And that's Big Future, College Navigator, and College Data. And these 3 differ in a variety of ways. So Big Future is really good about helping you utilize your priority list. So it's a really user-friendly search engine, and it helps you create different search tools based on some of those priorities. So you can search by location, you could search by major, you could search by demographics, those types of things. College Navigator is massive. I would say it's like the Google of college search engines. And then College Data is nice just because it breaks things down. For those of you who are more number-minded, who like Excel charts and are interested in receiving your information in that way, it breaks down information on colleges from that perspective. So it has student surveys, what their experience has been like. It has parent information on there from experiences from parents, as well as people who have worked at the college. So that stuff is really important and good things to consider, but those are great places to start. I also encourage you to check out what the admissions requirements are and compare your own personal stats. So the admissions world has definitely shifted a lot in relation to COVID. So I highly recommend that you go to, when you see some of those schools, check out their website, immediately go to the admissions section on their page. So if you click on any website, usually up at the top, there are a couple of different headers. Click on the admissions portion, and first year student is what you're going to want to look for. And that will really help you. They'll lay out what their recommendations are, what their timeline is for applying, and things like that. So when you're looking at your own personal stats, you definitely want to know what your cumulative GPA is. You're probably going to want to know what your test scores are if you've taken the ACT or the SAT, or any other kind of exam. If you're an international student, the TOEFL exam is something that you might have taken. If you are worried about the ACT, definitely check out and see if institutions are test optional. Sometimes schools allow you to apply without your test scores if you have a high enough GPA. Simpson College is one of those. So you definitely can check that out and maybe don't stress too much. I know because COVID has really limited your ability to have access to the ACT and the SAT exams. So I definitely saw this year a lot of schools were moving towards the test optional process. Some of the questions you're going to want to look at are these schools highly selective? And so you're going to look at what's called an admission rate. So out of all the applications that are submitted to the school, what is the percentage that get admitted, for example? So a highly selective school would be maybe in the 15 to 30 percentile. So out of all the applications that they receive, they only admit, 15, 20, 30% of those students. I'd say on average, most schools probably admit about 60% of their applicants. All schools have sort of their bare bones, what the kind of qualities are that they're looking for. So like their GPA and test score requirements. And then another thing to think about is if they have early acceptance or any other important dates. So some schools have what's called an early admissions or early acceptance policy. And that means that they have like a priority deadline, typically in the fall. And so their application will open up in the summer, usually July or August, and then they begin early admission in September and October. Other schools have what's called rolling admissions, and this just means that as applications come in, they make decisions just based off of that. There are no early acceptance dates or priority deadlines. There aren't any things where, hey, if you apply during this time, you get first dibs on your dorm room selection. I think a lot of schools are more rolling admissions. Simpson College is definitely rolling admissions. So as you apply, we check out your profile and we either will admit you if you meet our requirements or exceed our requirements. And if you need any other further information, for example, if you're kind of borderline, we'd reach out to you and kind of chat with you about what maybe are some additional things you could do in order to get admitted to the college. So those are just some things to kind of think about. And my recommendation is, don't hold yourself back, right? You have your personal stats in front of you, but don't limit yourself. So it's okay to, apply to schools that have a selective admission rate. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You never know until you try. And so I think it's just important to kind of know yourself, know what qualities you bring to the table, know what are some really unique and important factors about yourself, and be able to self-advocate as well. So definitely think about those types of things. Don't limit yourself by any means. After you've done all of these things, you're going to want to make a final list of schools. So definitely you don't want to apply to like 50 schools. That will be very overwhelming to you. It's okay if your search starts really big, but you definitely, as you go along, you're really going to want to narrow that down. And this is definitely an important conversation potentially to have with your family if they have kind of any say in how you're making your decision. But definitely make a final list of schools that you're going to want to actually visit. So I would recommend, in my mind, a large list for applying for schools and visiting schools is 20. I would say kind of an average list of a good amount to look for is probably like 5 to 6 in terms of applying for particular schools. So you definitely want to do your research ahead of time, check out their websites, check out their social media. Their student social media is going to say a lot about them as well. So make sure that you look at the student activity social media, the student life, maybe Greek life, athletics, those types of things you're just going to want to check out because that will also tell you a lot about what's going on the campus. And then you're going to want to visit and apply. So be sure to check out the websites of the schools that you're looking for to see all that information. When you finally have your final list of, 5 to 7 schools, you're really going to want to do the campus visits. And there's a lot of options for you to visit, especially now. One of the blessings and curses of COVID was the virtual option. Virtual is definitely not going away. So as you see more on-campus things coming back and in-person things coming back, you will still continue to see things like this, webinars and different workshops online that might make schools more accessible to you that you couldn't visit. So if you're looking out of state, potentially a virtual option might be good for you. Again, every school will have this available on their admissions website. Even if you go to their main website and click on the visit tab, there should be a lot of information about the different programs. Some things that you'll notice is that there are group visits, and then there are personal and individual visits. So a group visit is really good for juniors and underclassmen, or if you're just kind of getting started. Group visits tend to be a little bit more general programming. So they'll hit on all of the hot topics, the things that are important to learn, but they're usually pretty general. Occasionally, there might be some personalized aspects. For example, for Simpson's group visits, we typically have a couple hours in the morning sessions where they are general information. But then in the afternoon, we have optional sessions that are a little bit more personal, like you could meet with a coach, you can meet with a faculty member, any student that's on campus. So there are options like that. I would say a group is good for just comfortability level. You'll be with a variety of different people. So it's nice to kind of meet folks from other places. It's a good first introduction to a school, but I always recommend setting up a personal or individual visit. And this is important for a variety of reasons. This whole process is all about you. This is your one opportunity of a few in your lifetime where you 100% put yourself first and you are the priority. And really all of us at institutions are trying to impress you and encourage you to join our community. So personal and individual visits allow you to do that wholeheartedly, where you can cater the visit to you and your family and all the things that you want to do. So at Simpson, for example, you'll work with your admissions counselor and our visit coordinator to set up a specific schedule. You'll go on a campus tour, you'll meet with one of us in the admissions team, and then you could sit in on a class, you could meet with a faculty member, you could meet with a coach, check out the dining hall, have lunch with some of the students. There's tons of things that you can do. So I really like that about it. And I think it just really helps, again, personalize that experience. And it helps you, again, get all your questions answered. Sometimes in group visits, maybe you don't want to ask a particular question, but on a personal visit, you have a lot more opportunities and more intimate conversation where you can really get into the details that are important for you. Highly recommend, again, take your time on campus, visit all of the places you want to see, which is, again, why I really encourage you all to sign up for individual visits. Not saying that you couldn't do these things on group visits, but group visits are start to finish pretty regimented. There's a schedule. Individual campus visits, you get to build your schedule. So that's really nice. And then definitely consider visiting more than once. So if you come and you do a group visit, come back in a couple of months when you're kind of trying to finalize things and do another visit on campus, just you and your family, or you and a parent or guardian. I think that just helps you get another fresh set of eyes. When we were not in COVID times, we also offered overnights for folks. So if you really wanted to, see what campus was like, what sort of activities there were, we would set you up with some of our ambassadors, and you would stay in a dorm room and be able to stay overnight, go hang out, do some student activities, and really get the feel for what it would be like to be on campus. And I know there are plenty of other schools that offer that. I think currently right now with COVID, we are not, and neither are other schools, but we expect that to come back once things are a little bit more normal. So just a couple of good tips for having a good visit is checking out the school ahead of time, getting a good feel for maybe some of the things that you might want to talk about, thinking about some of the questions that you're going to want to ask when you are on campus. And Simpson, we provide kind of a list of questions that would help you when you're meeting with a faculty person to talk about. Don't recommend bringing with your extended cousins and aunts and uncles. Sometimes that could be a lot of fun, especially if it's like a family member's alma mater and they went to that college, but we really recommend keeping it a little bit more intimate so that way you get the full attention. So yourself and one parent, both parents, that's totally fine. Again, all campuses are welcome to all people. We definitely don't limit the amount of visitors in normal times. During COVID, we do ask that you only bring a certain amount of people with you. But this just really helps keep things more about you. Definitely ask if you can see any classrooms or sit in on a real class. Obviously, you're going to college to learn and academics is a priority. So you really do kind of want to see what type of environment you're going to be in. And that's something you might want to think about. What kind of learner are you? Are you the type of person that's, a little bit more of a go-getter? You're more independent. You're okay with a big lecture, where someone might not be checking in on you and you're on your own? Or do you prefer more of an intimate learning environment where maybe you're one of 12, one of 15, something like that? So it's just really important. Are they discussion-based classes, or are they, lecture-based classes? Those are the types of things you just want to see. And also, it doesn't hurt to check out the classroom spaces just to see what sort of resources are available. Engage with current students when and if you can. So I know for our Simpson, we always try to have at least 1 or 2 touch points when you're on campus that you get to meet with current students, whether it's through a student panel on a group visit or through a one-on-one tour with one of our student ambassadors, where you can really just talk to them one-on-one and say, hey, what's your experience been like? And they'll be honest with you and really share what their search process was like, and also what was important to them, why they chose Simpson, and what they're currently doing now. Definitely don't be afraid to ask lots of questions. I know that can seem counterintuitive and a little bit intimidating, but again, this whole process is all about you. And so there is no such thing as a dumb question. If this is the first time for you and your family that you're exploring a college, it's okay to let an admissions person know. For me, that was my hardest part, was that I didn't want to tell people that I was the first in my family to go to college. And I didn't really know kind of what questions to ask. But once I actually did tell someone, they told me about all this really helpful information that really helped make my college search a lot easier. So there's no shame in that. Ask any kind of question that is sitting in the back of your mind. That will be very important. The last thing is be confident. In our society, we are intrinsically trained to not talk about ourselves, to not brag about ourselves. Again, this is the one of few times, besides when you're searching for jobs, that you want to absolutely you want to embellish and you're the coolest person in the room, right? This is all about you, and we're trying to impress you with our campus, and you're also trying to impress us with all the cool things that you know about yourself. So again, be confident. Feel free to share any kind of information that you think is important, because that's also going to be memorable. So if you're maybe applying to one of those schools that is highly selective, that would be a great opportunity for you to share a lot of unique points about yourself, because more than likely, those folks are going to remember that about you. So again, be confident and put yourself out there. So now that we've kind of got some of that stuff out of the way, I just want to give a quick snapshot of what Simpson looks like. So we're going to dig in a little bit, especially for those who have never been to our campus before. We are a small private liberal arts college located in Indianola, Iowa. It is a small community located about 15 minutes south of Des Moines, which is the largest metropolitan area in Iowa. So for folks who are out of state, that's just some helpful, useful information to know. We like talking about that just because we kind of give you the best of both worlds. You have that intimate small town environment. We also have access to a lot of amenities. A lot of our internship programs will definitely be based in Des Moines, so that's always really helpful. We have around 1,200 to 1,300 full-time undergraduate students. We also have 3 graduate programs as well. We have a West Des Moines campus where most of those are housed. Most of our students live on or around campus. We are not a commuter school. We keep you very, very busy. I would say about 95% of our students live on or around campus, which is really great. There's always something going on. We firmly believe in having an intimate learning environment. So the majority of your classes will have probably about 12 to 15 students in them, which is really nice. I will say that depending on your program, for example, if you are in a business major, or if you are one of the health sciences like biology, some of those freshman year courses, the lectures will be a little bit larger, maybe 30 to 40 students, but we really try to make sure that the classes are smaller, because we think it's very important for you to be able to have that one-on-one relationship with your professors. Your professors are also going to be your academic advisors, which we feel is very important. Again, they're going to get to know you on a professional and personal level and be able to guide you and help you set goals while you are in school. We offer 80 different majors, minors, and pre-professional programs. And because we are a liberal arts school, that means we are not binding you necessarily to one particular issue area. At Simpson, a lot of our students are very interested and very passionate about a variety of different things. And so it is really normal for a lot of our students to be double majors. And during your first year foundations course, you will spend a lot of time kind of talking about what are those important things, setting goals, and figuring out what programs are best for you. So it's really great, even if you come in knowing I want to be in pre-med, or I want to be a high school teacher, or I want to be, I'm undecided, I'm not quite sure. Your first year foundations course is really going to help you figure out what partnership programs, what other majors and minors might complement what you're looking to do. Or really help you kind of nail that down, and we don't require you to officially declare your major until you're in your second semester of your sophomore year. So you've got some time. 99% of Simpson College graduates were either employed or in graduate school within 6 months after graduation. And we are really proud of that. The national average is about 60%. So we're really happy that a majority, almost all of our students are having success after college. And that's really, really exciting. And we attribute that to the style of classes that we have, as well as our awesome internship programs. And then obviously something very important I think a lot of people are wondering about is, what does your financial aid look like? Every single student, regardless of your background, will receive some sort of financial aid. And our financial aid is based off of your merit, so your academic performance, as well as family need. And then we offer specialty scholarships depending on what kind of program you're looking for. And we'll also help you with your outside scholarship search for private funds as well. So we definitely want college to be affordable for you. It is your first, what I call, big adult purchase. So it's very important to be able to make sure that it's affordable, and also that you are going to be successful after school. That's a big priority for us as well. So now you've kind of sat through some of this information. You're about to go dive in and do some research on schools. What are some of the things that you should do next? If you have not had a visit with us yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Again, my personal preference is the individual visit, just because you are able to have that personal one-on-one experience. But we do have a lot of group visit programs that you can check out at simpson.edu/visit. Right now, too, is a great time to start talking to your teachers, coaches, or maybe someone in your community that you're close to for letters of recommendation. So there are some colleges, especially the highly selective ones, that do require you to have another adult in your life that's not your parent or someone related to you vouch for you and say, you want this person on your campus. Trust me, in the fall, lots of teachers are going to get asked. So it's better to be proactive and to ask them now rather than later. Kind of just put that little nugget in the back of their head, so that way they know that they need to get that done. So think about maybe someone that you're close with, or someone that is supportive of you in your life, that is able to speak on your behalf about what sort of qualities and character that you have. And then obviously apply to Simpson, because we're the best. Our application will be available online in July. It is a free application. We do not charge for that. And if you have any questions about the application, we'll be having a session later in the year where we kind of walk through what that application looks like. Again, we are rolling admissions, so it is just based off of how the applications come in. We don't have any early deadlines, although I do highly recommend applying in the fall, just so that you can enjoy your senior year, and also that you can start being proactive about your scholarship search. Follow us on social media, obviously, is very helpful. Again, we're very active. So whatever your preferred platform is, Facebook for your parents, Twitter and Instagram for you, and then YouTube, we record a lot of these sessions. The Explore Simpson series is a really good option for you to check out. There's a ton of information on there and a ton of different videos just like this one. So you can go back and watch some of those sessions if you've got any particular questions about any of our departments, student life, Greek life, athletics, all sorts of stuff. We've done sessions on everything. So definitely explore our YouTube channel. We appreciate all of your time, and hopefully this was a really helpful session for you. Again, Mark and myself are here and available for you at any time, regardless if it's about Simpson or not. We can really help you with the process and figuring out what works best for you. We do have a bunch of different PDFs and ways to help track, what you're looking for, so we can send some things your way. Again, thank you so much, and we hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your evening.